And there's a surprising crossover between anime and wrestling. A lot of fans who are devoted to anime are also huge fans of pro wrestling, mainly due to the fantasy element of both mediums. However, it's not just the fans who share the love for both anime and pro wrestling. There's a lot of top wrestlers throughout the world who have a passion for anime.
Obviously she's Raphael because he was the red Ninja Turtle, Cole, and he had those...
In 2016, Forbes published an article discussing the relationship between anime and wrestling. During an interview with a fan of both mediums, the fan stated why there is so much crossover appeal. In anime, characters are super expressive and convey emotions in a way rarely seen in traditional American cartoons. Wrestling also can play with emotions, whether it's the way the wrestlers talk or how they react in the ring. They have to take the audience on a journey to further the story. Over the years, this passion has manifested itself by wrestlers wearing ring attires inspired by their favorite anime characters. But which wrestlers did this?
I played Street Fighter a bunch of times, but I never remember that thing looking this good. How appropriate.
Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 6 wrestlers who dressed as anime characters. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists.
He knows! Yes, you got a friend in me.
Number 1. Rhea Ripley. At WrestleMania 36, NXT Women's Champion Rhea Ripley had the biggest match of her career. She would face Charlotte Flair for the NXT Women's title on night 2 of the crowdless Mania. This was Rhea's WrestleMania debut, so it was extremely special to her, and she had to do something special to stand out on a show that was hard to stand out on due to the circumstances of what was going on in the world.
I read a few comments online, they're like, why is Rhea in white? Why is she wearing white and not black? And I was like, guys, you don't get it. It's Vegeta.
Rhea entered the Performance Center dressed as Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. She would wear blue pants and she belted white straps down her leg, and the pants were torn in various patches. As a devoted fan of Dragon Ball Z, Rhea also has a tattoo that reads, "I do not fear this new challenge.
Rather, like a true warrior, I will rise to meet it."
This quote is one of the most famous quotes from the anime, and is a quote that clearly means a lot to the former NXT Women's Champion.
He's like such a badass and I love it. I love everything about him. I was like, I need to unlock that feeling inside of me.
Number 2. Shanna. All Elite Wrestling continues to make a major mark on 2020 with wrestling fans thanks to their introduction of new wrestlers and new storylines that aren't seen on WWE TV. AEW is a company that actively encourages its talents to show off their love for pop culture, and this extends to anime. On an episode of AEW Dynamite in February of 2020, the AEW newcomer certainly left a lasting impression on fans of the popular anime Dragon Ball Z. She wore gear inspired by Dragon Ball Z's Goku. She wore red and orange gear and even had a 4-star Dragon Ball on one of her knee pads. She takes her love for the anime further, as she even uses a move inspired by the popular show. She used moves such as the Goku Wave and the Spirit Bomb, which is usually done whilst obtaining energy from the audience. Number 3. Ricochet. When you're given the nickname of WWE's resident superhero, you better be an extra special talent. And former US champion Ricochet certainly is. One of the ways Ricochet has kept to the superhero-esque gimmick is by wearing attires inspired by heroes from pop culture such as Batman and Nightwing. One of Ricochet's most famous attires was the attire he used at Crown Jewel 2019.
Real-life superhero, he likes to call himself, donned superhero gear here tonight.
The match in question was a match between Team Hogan, which featured Roman Reigns, Rusev, Ricochet, Chad Gable and Mustafa Ali, versus Team Flair, which featured Randy Orton, King Corbin, Bobby Lashley, Shinsuke Nakamura and Drew McIntyre. However, it was Ricochet's outfit for the match that was the standout highlight. Ricochet was dressed as All Might from the My Hero Academia manga series. The attire would be extremely accurate to the costume that the character wears in the actual manga publications. Number 4. Keith Lee. Keith Lee is a huge fan of anime, so much so that during an interview with GameSpot in 2020, he stated, "A lot of anime that I watch often lines up with my own beliefs in life as far as meeting difficult obstacles and then growing from them and overcoming them. And so that's kind of the main formal story that fits me, and I enjoyed that." But fast forward to summer of 2020 and Lee is making his main roster debut after an extremely successful NXT run that included an NXT title win. Lee would make his WWE pay-per-view debut at Payback against all-time great Randy Orton. And to mark the debut, Lee would wear an attire inspired by Broly from the Dragon Ball Z series. Naturally, anime fans quickly realized this, and the moment would be even more special as Lee would go on to beat Orton clean in his pay-per-view debut.
You have to say, this is the biggest win of Keith Lee's career.
Number 5. Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is one of the biggest anime fans in wrestling, and he shows this love by often dressing up as his favorite anime characters for big matches.
Big time atmosphere, big time stage, sold out crowd.
Omega dressed as Kurito from Sword Art Online for his first AEW pay-per-view match against Chris Jericho at Double or Nothing. And in an interview with Crunchyroll, Omega discussed his love for the medium of anime and stated, "I was always a fan of cartoons growing up, of course. The first anime I watched was Astro Boy. Man, I even watched Sailor Moon. The first mature anime I watched was Ninja Scroll. I was 12 when I watched Ninja Scroll and under 10 for Astro Boy. I dressed up in costume during my wrestling matches. During my first pay-per-view for AEW, I dressed up as Kurito from Sword Art Online. Of course, I wear anime shirts as well." And number 6. The New Day. Xavier Woods is a massive fan of all things video games and anime, meaning it came as no surprise when the New Day wore Dragon Ball Z inspired attires at WrestleMania 32 in Texas.
Come on, Byron, Xavier here. He's obviously Vegeta. Dragon Ball Z. Don't you know anything? Come it on.
Speaking to IGN, Woods offered some insight to the inspiration behind the gear. He stated, "That was my idea. I don't have a problem taking credit for that one. But Kofi does like Dragon Ball Z. And Biggie wasn't really an anime guy, he's more of an old school hip hop head, but we showed him a picture of the stuff that we wanted to wear and he was all in. Essentially mixing my love for cosplay into my love of wrestling. It's cool that people appreciate it." Woods would go on to discuss what WWE Chairman Vince McMahon thought of the anime-inspired attire. Oh, we didn't see him until right before we went out. It's funny because we always have some kind of harebrained idea, and then he sees it right before we go through the curtain, and just kind of gives us a little grin and thumbs up.
Growing up here in Atlanta, all we did was watch anime and play video games. The fact that we got to come out as like Saiyans, Dragon Ball, it blew my mind.
But there you have it guys, 6 wrestlers who dressed as anime characters. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.